Hey, what's up everybody? Nate here from Out of the Basement, bringing you a brand new figure review. Today we are checking out the Walgreens exclusive Dragon Shield Black Ranger from Hasbro's Power Ranger Lightning Collection. This was just recently released alongside Clone Commander Obi-Wan, but I actually had a little bit of a tougher time tracking him down, but thankfully I was finally able to find it. So of course, you know, I had to pick it up. So let's not waste a whole lot of time here. Let's take a look at the package. This is the Lightning Collection package we've been seeing for a while, with this not so great artwork on it that I've openly voiced that I don't really care for the side art. It looks just a little too cartoony. And you got the logo right there in the corner. On the back, you have the CG rendering of the figure that makes it look way better than it actually is. On this side, another picture of the Black Ranger. Nothing on the top, just some credits on the bottom. So let's go ahead. We're going to get this guy open. We're going to take a look at the accessories and then the figure itself. Okay, so for accessories, he does come with some alternate hands. And we have the fisted and the chop hand that we've seen with most of the other Power Ranger releases, specifically the White Ranger and I believe the Green Ranger as well. So we've seen these before. They're okay. The sculpt work is fine. They look good. They serve their purpose. Then we also have the small blaster gun right here, which is just some red sculpted plastic with a little bit of white paint on it. And this does look really good. Of course, am I going to pose him with this blaster? No, but he does have weapons storage there, so of course it's going to look awesome just chilling in the belt. A nice little detail on the figure. He also comes with the axe slash blaster, which does have a little bit of articulation on it. This piece right here can move up and down. It's a little bit hard to get unstuck at first, but there you go. And I think the axe does look really good. You can see the nice mastodon sculpted into the axe there, and I think that turned out pretty nice. The yellow paint on the actual axe is all right. It does get a little fuzzy right there, and on the actual bladed part you can see there's a pretty big miss down at the bottom. If I had to complain about these figures, so far I'd say that the paint apps and overall quality control vary so much. And there you go, you can see a really bad mess up right there. That's not even the same shade of yellow, which now that I'm looking at it closely, this yellow and this yellow don't match at all. So I don't know why they would use two different kinds of yellow paint on this axe weapon right here, but the silver bits do look pretty nice. But yeah, what I was saying was the QC on these guys are so wild. The loose joints, the paint apps. It's honestly a little disappointing that it keeps continuing to happen. And of course right here you can see that it also comes with a blast effect, which just plugs right into the gun. And that is one thing I do appreciate about the Lightning Collection, is all of the pretty cool blast effects that have come with most of the Rangers. Although this one, it's a little bit curved. Mine was curved in the package, and this is super soft. So that's nice because it's not going to break if it falls off your shelf or anything like that. But I doubt I'm going to be able to reshape that. So it's going to just kind of be stuck in like a upward position, but it does look nice. I like the way that this ended up turning out. The sculpted details look nice, and the translucent blue plastic is always a positive in my book. And he also comes with an alternate unmasked head, which I think does not look like Zach at all. The face is completely wrong. He just kind of looks like some random guy that has the same haircut and the earring, which the earring is a nice detail, but yeah, I'd say so far the photoreal on the Power Ranger line has not been that great, especially if you look at someone like Kimberly. I think Kimberly is easily the worst. It does not look like Amy Jo Johnson at all. And I think Zach really doesn't look like himself either, which is a little bit of a disappointment. But then again, I don't really display them with the unmasked head on, so it's not really a huge factor for me, but I can see definitely some people being disappointed in how inaccurate this looks. I mean, it's a good head sculpt, nice sculpted details, and the photoreal does look nice. It just doesn't look like the actor. And the hair is actually painted pretty well. I had to dig through so many of these Black Rangers at my local Walgreens to find one that had the least amount of paint defects, and this guy still has plenty of them. You saw it on the axe, and we'll get a little bit more into it when we take a closer look at the figure. But yeah, I think Hasbro really needs to get on the QC with these guys, because it is just kind of getting a little ridiculous and a little bit tiresome how often these figures have QC issues. So for the accessories, I think they're pretty good. I'm glad he came with the axe. If that's all he came with, I'd honestly be pretty satisfied. I wouldn't really complain a whole lot. But the axe and the blast effect are easily the best part, so overall, the accessories are pretty good. So now we're going to take a close look at the figure and the details. Okay, and here is a full look at the Dragon Shield Black Ranger with the helmet on. And the figure does look pretty good, especially at a distance. Not a whole lot to complain about, but when you start looking up close, similar to the rest of the Power Ranger figures, at least in my experience so far, you can see the QC issues and the paint bleeding galore. So let's just jump right in here, take a closer look at the figure itself. And you can see that, like I said, I had to dig through so many to get a decent looking helmet. So many of them had awful paint apps for the tusks. One of them I actually picked up and almost bought, but thankfully I noticed straight up did not have any paint on one of the tusks at all. So it's very important, guys, if you are out there looking at these figures, if you can find multiples of the same one, look them over very carefully, because the paint application varies so much with these guys. It's really disappointing. But you can see the helmet I got for my copy is actually pretty good. It's not so bad. You can see there's definitely a bit of splotchiness right there. The eyes look pretty good though, and most of the other details are pretty clean, including the silver lining throughout the helmet. So not too much to complain about on this one, but like I said, this was easily the best of the bunch. And you can see that the Dragon Shield does look pretty good as well. The little marks on the actual diamond in the middle are off, which is not too surprising, but again, when you're looking at it from far away, you're not really going to notice that detail. There's also a bunch of schmutz on the shoulders and on the back here. You can see all sorts of little specks of black paint, which is really annoying. I don't know how does that even get on there? Anyways, the gold armbands do look okay. They're a little bit bleedy, a little bit runny, especially like right there and on the back as well. Not the best paint application, and you can see like on the wrist right here, all that bleeding right there, the different colors, the black paint getting onto the white, and it's just, I feel like this is so easily avoidable. You really don't see this kind of paint app variation on like Marvel Legends or Black Series figures, at least in my experience, but for whatever reason, these Power Rangers are just all over the place. The morpher on the belt though does look really nice. You can even see the little mastodon detail in there, and I think that turned out pretty well. So can't really complain a whole lot about that. Nice effort there. And then one thing that I think is so weird about these figures, at least with the Black Ranger I really noticed it, is like the boots. The boots stick out way further than the legs, and it's just kind of weird. I don't know why they do that. I feel like it should be a more uniformed look. It shouldn't really stick out like that. I mean, I guess you can fudge it because they are boots, but it just kind of looks awkward. But to Hasbro's credit, I will say the diamonds painted on the feet down here on the boots and on the wrists are pretty dang clean. They look really nice, and you can even see here that the diamond is painted on underneath the Dragon Shield, although of course the Dragon Shield is not removable unless you want to cut it off yourself. But why would you want to do that? I'm sure they're going to release a standard Black Ranger figure down the road, and this one is just for people who like the Dragon Shield look, which of course I think it is a little bit overplayed, but I love the Black Ranger's design. He's always been one of my favorite Rangers, whether it was Zach or Adam. And the Dragon Shield on the Black Ranger, the black and gold look, I think just really pops so well. And one last thing I want to mention is in the packaging. You can see here his arm is warped because of the way he's positioned in the package. And he was sitting there so long that the arm is warped. And I'm sure I could fix it with a little bit of hot air, hot water, but still, it's just disappointing that I have to do that at all. His arm looks like it's friggin' broken. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation. So for the articulation, he can look up just that far and can look down a decent amount. The shoulders can move out a decent amount as well. This one's kind of stuck a little bit, but you can see there that you do get nice range out of that, and there is the butterfly joint as well on both arms, which is greatly appreciated. The double elbow also works really well. Doesn't really have any hindrance to it. The wrist is on a peg, and of course it has the horizontal hinge. I really think Hasbro should start including the vertical hinge peg. I think it just looks so much better for characters that use actual like weapons like swords and staves and stuff like that. The posing options just look so much better. So that is a little disappointing. Of course, this articulation is the same that we've seen on all of the Ranger bodies. They've all used, at least for the male Rangers, they've pretty much all used the same exact body. So the articulation is nothing new, but hey, you know, Hasbro watches our videos, so maybe they'll say, oh yeah, you know, Nate was saying vertical hinge, let's do it. And it'll happen, and then you guys can thank me yet again, thank Out of the Basement for all of our contributions. Of course, I'm just kidding though. Let's get back to it. He does have the diaphragm joint right here that gives you tons of movement side to side, front to back. And he does also have a ab crunch as well, so he can crunch forward pretty far and can crunch back even further, which is a little weird. I feel like that doesn't make sense for human beings. We should crunch forward further than we do backwards, but I don't know. There we are. The legs can kick out pretty far as well, and the double knees work pretty well. We also get the boot cut, which is nice. The feet can go down really far and can go up a decent amount as well, and of course, ankle pivot is always there. So overall, the articulation is awesome. That's the one thing I love about these figures, is that the articulation is absolutely crazy. You can get them into such great poses, and I think that's why I've been sticking with this line so much. Paint QC issues and loose joints aside, you can't deny that these figures are just a whole lot of fun. So now we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna compare him to some of the other Rangers, along with some other figures from Hasbro and just some other stuff in general. So here we go. Here he is next to a Putty and Lord Zed, the Green Ranger and the Shadow Ranger, then the Carbonized Mandalorian and the Marvel Legends PS4 Spider-Man. My two previous reviews, which were the NECA Halloween 2 Michael Myers and the Black Series IG-11. And then finally the Mezco 112 Michael Myers and the NECA Roy Burns Jason. So my final thoughts on this figure are that it is a great addition to the Hasbro Lightning collection. I know I probably seemed kind of harsh in this review, but I just think that the continued issues of this line are starting to become more and more apparent as we keep going. They really need to work on these paint app QC issues and really nailing the likeness of the actors with the photoreal. Like I said, the Tommy head is okay, but Kimberly and I think Zach both look insanely inaccurate to the actors that portrayed them. The articulation, of course, is awesome, and the variation with the dragon shield is greatly appreciated. He comes with a lot of accessories, and I really couldn't think of anything else I would want him to come with. So in that regard, I think this figure is pretty dope. He's available now at your local Walgreens, and like I always say, if it's in my area, it's definitely in your area, because I think my area is one of the worst places to collect figures from, at least basing off of what you guys seem to find out in the wild on Instagram versus what we end up finding. Usually it's a couple months later, but I'm happy that I got this guy relatively quickly. And I think he's gonna look great on the shelf. I can't wait to get more of these standard Mighty Morphin Rangers, and I cannot wait for the blue Zeo Ranger. So, what do you guys think of this figure? Are you going to pick it up, or are you going to wait for a standard non-Dragon Shield release of the Black Ranger? Let's talk Power Rangers in the comments below. Of course, thank you to all 20 people that check out this review. I know it's kind of a channel meme that no one really watches my Power Ranger content, and I said I wasn't going to do it anymore, but shout out to you, Kevin. You inspired me to keep going on, so I hope you watch this review and you find this information helpful. Of course, if you're new to the channel, we're always talking action figures, mostly NECA and Black Series. We also do movie reviews and talk about Blu-rays, so if any of that is interesting, make sure you smash subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your Power Ranger loving friends. Of course, I'm Nate from Out of the Basement. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.